gentlemen, and thank you for joining us at India Energy Week 2026. And today for this panel, we have a very prominent lineup. We start with His Excellency Ahmed Al Kaabi from UAE's Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure. Then we have Mr. Prince Dhawan. He's the Executive Director at REC. Then we have Mr. Naveen Srivastava from Power Grid Corporation of India. And then finally, Ms. Suman Chandra. She's the Director at Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And before I begin with the topic and topic of the discussion, I just wanted to share a few stats with you. So at Bloomberg NEF, what we do every year is we try to understand and calculate how many dollars are going into energy transition industries every year. And energy transition industries includes power, electric vehicles, grids, and emerging and mature renewable energy technologies. Overall, what we found is that in 2025, $2.3 trillion were invested in the energy transition business. A bulk of it went to the electric vehicle industry, but on the power side, a lot of investments went into the grids as well as renewable energy generation. So out of that $2.3 trillion, which is roughly 8% up from last year, about $500 million were spent on the grid investments as well. So around $500 billion was spent in building grids. It is up slightly because many governments are trying to raise and build more grids, and then the equipment prices have also increased a little bit in the past. So that is leading to some increase in investments overall. But India at this moment is at an inflection point. We already have grid, which is getting 15% intermittent energy from renewables. This year we are expected to cross 300 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel energy capacity, and the target is to take it up to 500 gigawatts by 2030. So it is clear that there is a big push towards having more renewables and more energy transition businesses play a bigger role in meeting India's energy needs, but the grid part is still where there needs to be some more development to take place. And that is what we are going to talk about over here on this panel. So to kick it off, I'll first ask Ms. Suman a question on the on the grid side. So let's start with the big picture, overall big picture over here. So with the rise of this intermittent renewable energy, which I said is already meeting 15% of our energy needs, how will India manage the high renewable penetration as we go further? Because 5%, 10% were fine, 15%, this is where we are starting to see some level of involvement of other technologies. And then as we go deeper, we will need to innovate. So what is happening? What do we plan to do?
So congratulations to India. We have renewable energy. It is variable, and by that very definition, it provides you an opportunity to look at the ailment of the power sector de novo, right? Otherwise, we would not have looked at our grid is old, it is not amenable to the penetration of different fuels. We have issues to ramp up our game in digitalization, modernization of this infrastructure. We cannot forever sit on the legacy infrastructure. So therefore, I feel this is an opportunity, a huge opportunity and a huge lesson that India sits on. We have right now, you have already shared the statistics, but to reiterate, 500 gigawatt installed with almost 50% non-fossil. And we have already started to feel the heat of how when certain energy, which is economically making sense today and is easily deployable, is out there, but the grid is not able to keep the pace, the transmission is not able to keep the pace, and therefore we are suffering curtailments, right? You have majority of the generation center of the renewable energy in the west and the southern side, and you have the load centers on the eastern side and the northern side. So therefore, what is the solution? What is the big picture? The big picture which is emerging for India is this, that our energy demand continues to grow at a very impressive pace of 5% as our GDP continues to grow at an impressive 7 to 8%. And we sit on a huge potential of using all the energy sources that we are endowed with. Luckily, we have coal, of course, led with emissions. We'll have to drive down those emissions. Luckily, sitting on a huge solar capacity that can be harnessed for amplifying our economic growth. And then we have now battery storage, which has cost parity, and that will solve, as of course, our transmission ramps up, the energy issues for India, and the big picture is promising.
Okay. And there's also a lot of discussion about nuclear energy. Could you throw some light on that, its role in?
Yeah. So there's perpetually this worry about meeting the base load. Currently, coal continues to meet our base load, but we have global pressures of driving down our emissions, and therefore the base load has to shift to a more cleaner, fuel source. So I think the panel which was before us, the gentleman very articulately explained the Shanti Bill. We are moving towards 100 gigawatt of nuclear deployment that is lined up in the 2047 Viksit Bharat scenario, and there are policy ramp up for facilitating the SMRs. So nuclear is going to play an important supporting baseload role as we go forward.
Thank you. So with that brief introduction, I think let's straight away call upon Mr. Naveen Srivastav. And sir, from the PGCIL's perspective, there is a plan to invest about $110 billion to enable more renewables on the grid. So could you tell us a little bit about how is Power Grid operationalizing these advanced technologies to meet the power demand, flexibility, and load flows in the future?
Thank you, Shantanu. Thank you, IEW, for inviting me for this discussion. See, India is moving in a very fast growth. You can see that, peak demand in the 10 years, it has almost become doubled. And similarly, you see that at present where we are working, that not only the demand is increasing in a very high phase, what Madam is also telling 5%, 10%. And similarly, there is a renewable penetration. Both has to come together. We have to see how we are doing it. As per National Electricity Plan, around 1.07 billion, we are going to invest in transmission sector for taking the renewable resources to the consumers. So how to do it? Because renewable is basically in the different parts, maybe in Rajasthan, maybe in Gujarat, maybe in Telangana, but the load is whole for it. So transmission plays a very major role, and that transmission, initially we used to be in 2005, it is for the growth. Now it is bidirectionals. Now we have to see that even the transmission is having less inertia. So we have to see that the grid which is coming in, it is robust, it's resilient. It is also, automative. It is to be modernized. So these things which has coming up, not only transmission line which is coming up, we have to see that how to control the voltage. So another additional part like synchronous condensers, SVCs, then these are become STATCOMs. They become the important part of the transmission line for making it that. As far as Power Grid is concerned, we have both the parts, new plants, which is almost $1.5 lakhs rupees works in progress. And we have a legacy of almost 287 substation having almost 1,81,000 circuit kilometers, which we have to maintain also. So these are the two things which we are doing. So what Power Grid is moving to in this direction is, not only we are bringing a new transmission line, new corridors, maybe in HVDC form or 765, 400, but also modernizing our old systems. We are going in a modernization, digitalization in a very high level. We are going with see that the grid, our grid becomes totally automative, not only for, health indexing, but also for decision making also. So whatever the best available in the world, like in substations, world first, process-based substation in 765 kV level. India has brought it. It is in Navsari in Gujarat. Similarly, as far as transmission line is concerned, the first transmission line pilot project for the dynamic line loading, which is very important to use the same corridors to take the power. That also we have done it. We are going in the modernization way in the, operation and maintenance aim that we are going for vegetation management that through that the transmission line. We are having a availability of 99.85 above, which we are continuing, and we are coming with the best available technology in the world. We are coming with the asset performance management also. This is you will see in next 2 years, it will be one of the part of that. So grid modernization is also an important role other than the grid integration.
Thank you, sir. And you spoke about automation of the grids. And I have a question on the security part of it, but I'll come to that in a while. But meanwhile, I would like to bring you, Your Excellency, into the discussion, and especially from UAE's perspective, like during the COP in Dubai, there was a big target of tripling the renewable energy capacity of of UAE. And with that target in mind, what do you think are the major challenges from the grid side that could come up in enabling such a transition, especially as you are seeing a lot of investments and demand coming from the AI industry, AI data centers, as well as electric vehicles in the kingdom?
Thank you very much, Shantu, for this very important and strategic, actually, questions. But before I go more for the feedback, I would like to give just very high-level brief about the UAE system related to the energy. Energy transition in UAE is not new. It is started long time ago. But what is new with UAE, how we can be more creative and innovative for facing any challenges to be solved. So we started in 60s with the oil, then we moved with the gas in 70s. 2006 with the renewable through our international company Masdar, and then with fully commissioned nuclear 5.6 gigawatt in 2024. With, of course, the wind started around 100 megawatt in 2023, and it will be double in coming years. In addition to that, we have the hydropower, around 250 megawatt, which will be coming soon. So this is basically the energy mix what we have. Currently, we have around 7.2 gigawatt of the solar. And this volume, it will be tripling in 2030. And we are targeting actually to reach not less than 23 gigawatts in 2031. So this is very brief, the landscape for the energy mix in UAE. So going back to your questions, which is very, very important, actually, of course, there is a challenges, but always there is a solutions. What we see, I have two main important points. The one related to the grid flexibility and stability with all this penetration and the renewable. As all you know that the renewable, especially solar and wind, it is variable and non-dispatchable. So every time the renewable increase, there will be, it needs more maintaining the stability, frequency, and the voltage, and which make the more complex to be treated. What we did in UAE as the key actions, we are now advancing the grid code in UAE, and also we deploy heavily the AI for all related AI demand forecasting and load management. And just one most important thing that I would like to highlight. Last year in January, we tender a very strategic project, and actually it is very unique one globally, where we are going to produce 5.2 gigawatt of the solar and around 19 gigawatt hours related to the batteries, and only 1 gigawatt for the transmission. So we will be able to produce the power from the renewable, the solar, 24 hours, which can enhance the stability of the grid itself. Another important point also for what we see the challenges, but of course there is action already taken, is dispatchable capacity balancing. So with all this massive deployment of renewable, there will be, of course, time, morning, evening, seasonable variable, that the outcome of the renewable, it will not match the demand. So what we did as action in UAE, we tried to provide the hybrid solar with batteries to provide the stability for the grid itself through the CCGT. And also, as I mentioned at the beginning, recently we will announce the hydropower electricity to be provided around 250 megawatt. That will give us support for the stability for the system. In addition to the network grid with the cross-border countries through the GCC-IA or the potential project with India. In addition, we have also UAE national demand side management. So there is a challenges, as I mentioned, but also there is always a solution to manage the stability and the flexibility of the grid.
And the answer is in supersizing.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So I liked what you say, that there are problems, but these problems have a solutions. They are not something that is totally insurmountable. So one of the challenges that we often see in big infrastructure projects is financing. So I think maybe let's touch a little bit about some of the market friction activities and financing aspects of the grid investments. So Ms. Chandra, bringing you into the discussion, so these transmission upgrades, energy storage projects, and digitalization of the grid, these are all very capital intensive projects. And these are generally not visible, like your power generation asset is very clearly visible, but other things, they remain unnoticed. So in such a scenario, what policy or financial innovations do you think are needed to crowd in long-term private capital into these sectors?
That is very clear.
Sorry, that was a question to Ms. Chandra, but
Yes. Okay.
but sir, you are also,
Okay.
please.
No, it's okay.
So what investors look at once they are making an investment decision is risk and the long-term trajectory and a policy stability. So once you give a signal, and you couldn't have had clearer signals from country like India. Mm-hmm. We've never been a climate denier. Trajectory of our net zero lined up till 2070. We have our short-term goal lined up till 2030. We have Viksit Bharat framework lined up till 2047. That gives a very smooth investment policy signal framework. Now, what kind of finance do we want to funnel in? And we have not been able to. There are different numbers. Bloomberg puts almost like 190 to 200 billions per year that is supposed to be invested in the renewable energy sector alone if we have to meet our 2030 goals. So therefore, like, we need a lot of mezzanine finance, a lot of blended finance. We need a lot of patient capital that has to come into India. But as we go forward, we shouldn't be giving confused signal to the market about any segment of the power sector, be it our traditional thermal, oil and gas, be it renewable energy, or the upcoming nuclear. There has to be space for all these fuels to grow, and that policy environment and financial stability and risk hedging should be made available.
Okay. Any particular solutions on the policy front? Like, we have a good, strong structural framework
Yeah, we have strong structural framework, and we have a lot of supply side and demand creation that is being taken care by the government in terms of big schemes being announced and offtake being ensured. I know, like, the elephant in the room for renewable energy sector, probably, which you might want me to address, would be 42 gigawatt of PPAs not signed. But let me tell you, that's not a renewable energy de-acceleration story. If at all it talks about is that we are pivoting to a phase now where we are not looking at very vanilla kind of installments. We are maturing in a way that we look at things from a more tariff rationalization point of view. We look at things from a more infrastructure systems approach in the power sector as a whole, and that's a good signal to the market for investment friendly infrastructures to come up.
Got it. Mr. Srivastav, did you want to comment on that part, on how do we bring in more capital to the grids industry?
That is okay. I was also telling that whenever we want to bring a private sector into, we see that it is bankable, and it is clearly they see that there is some profit is coming out of that. That is a point which is, and tariff as competitive in transmission sector is one of the great achievements there, that I'm seeing that in whatever the biddings are coming up, almost in one of the biddings and 10 or 11 parties are quoting. So they are coming up within that. You can see the BSS, quote has come out, which is, 1.7 paisa. This is where we can see that private owners wants to come in this area in transmission sector.
Got it. Well, Mr. Dhawan, thank you for being patient with me, but I would like to bring you into the discussion now as well. We heard some of the challenges, but from your perspective, what are the primary bankability hurdles that you see in renewable projects currently? And then, REC is also the nodal agency for PM Surya Ghar Yojana. So, how is REC simplifying credit for residential rooftop projects? So, if you could comment both on the utilities part, what are the main hurdles, and then how are you simplifying the rooftop projects as well?
Well, thank you, Shantanu, and thank you for inviting me and having me here. From the perspective of a financer like REC or our sister organization, parent organization rather, PFC, I would probably remark bankability is a question, as Madam had rightly said, of risk and return. So let's first talk about the risks. How do we look at some of the risks that have recently started to emerge? So one of them for sure being the PPA signing risk, which he addressed. But from a banker's perspective, it is a risk nonetheless. So if I put capital on a project and the PPA is not signed or not honored, or there are renegotiations, so that becomes one of the major risks for the renewable sector. The other second risk that we also have seen emerging is lack of transmission and evacuation capacity. So if a project is even with a signed PPA not able to deliver because of cancellation on those accounts, then that severely impacts the sentiment in the sector.
Mr. Srivastava, I would love to get your view on this after Mr. Dhawan is done.
Right, hold that thought.
The lack of transmission.
Hold that thought for a minute before Mr. Srivastava comes in. The third important risk factor is also in terms of the kind of provisioning norms that are mandated in the ecosystem here today. And for instance, you need to have some amount of 75% of land or 50% depending on what kind of model you are adopting for a particular project. You need to increase your provisioning in case the COD gets delayed, even if the delay is within the acceptable timelines. So these are three very, very key compartments of big risks that we see in the renewable sector today. And the fourth one is also uncertainty still around generation capacity because of the vagaries of so many other factors that may not be in your control. And there could be curtailment risk by the grid. The grid curtails you down, the weather curtails you down. So there could be many things. And as Chandra Madam rightly said, so time is up for vanilla projects now. You need to come up with FDRE, fixed and dispatchable. You need to come up with new innovations to address this risk profile. On maximizing the return part, so because there are two aspects to everything, so what about viability is about risk and return. So on maximizing the return part, as we were just hearing, the bids have become more and more competitive. There are multiple players coming in. Some bids we saw recently were extremely disruptive and extremely low cost. So I feel that there is little wiggle room there now, because that is purely a market driven play, and that would be left to the forces of the market there. But I think stability in terms of policy certainty is one thing that can maximize returns to some extent from a banker's perspective. That was part one of your
Yes, the
question. Right, and
second part was on how is REC helping build more rooftop projects.
Right. So about the part two, for the rooftop solar. See, rooftop solar is a different challenge, because it is small scale financing at small financing, but at scale. So
Right.
we need volumes, but the quantum is small. So I would say standard would be a 2 lakh rupee loan, or slightly less than that, and then some amount of that is compensated with subsidy, etc. But you need volume in that. So how REC in tandem with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy works on this project is we have standardized the processes. We have standardized the way you approach banks to get credit. The rates are fairly affordable, between 5 to 6%. In fact, the dispersal, the sanctioning and the dispersal are all digital. Minimal visits, physical visits to any sort of bank branch. In fact, recently we are also experimenting in some areas with zero visits to the bank branch at all. So it's completely end-to-end digital. So you standardize the process, you immediately disperse the subsidy, so that hits the loan account and increases the viability of the loan. So those are some ways in which REC and MNRE are working together to address the issues. I would say to just expedite the progress of the installation of the scheme from the financing perspective.
Got it. Well, Mr. Srivastav, there was a comment about projects getting delayed because transmission capacity is not available.
One thing I could tell you, when the projects are coming in, there is always, when the projects come, they come with the challenges. One is the factor is, there are 2-3 things. One is the ROW, everybody knows. Whenever we are constructing a transmission line or HVDC lines, from certain areas, it's nobody will give you as a, red carpet, they will not come. There will be problems. But there is, government is coming with a lot number of policy. Now it is streamlined also. They have increased the, compensation rates and all. It is becoming important. And now the timeline also, it is getting reduced, because you can see that renewable generations are coming either in Rajasthan and, Gujarat. There is a limited corridor to bring the lines from there also. So there are land issues, ROW issues, there are challenges, but I don't feel it is going to have any sort of, congestion like status. Lot of lines are coming up. You can see the way the lines are coming up. Even in 24 months or nowhere in the world you will see that the lines are coming in 24 months as India is coming up. Of course, there are challenges, there are issues which we all have to come out with the policy as well as with the execution part.
Got it. And so we also spoke about the rooftop projects, but do you think that if we have too many rooftop projects, would that create some disturbance on the grid side, especially if we don't know which projects are these, what capacities are these? And I'm coming from the background that there are certain distribution companies in Southeast Asia that I also look at, wherein the DISCOM doesn't have any idea how many rooftop projects it has on its distribution area. And that can, create some misalignment in terms of planned demand versus what the actual demand on the grid. Do you think it's something that can be solved in India's context?
It's to me.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, when a demand side management is there, it is always better for the grid. There is no doubt in that. So demand side management is coming up, and it is going to, because whenever renewable integrations come out, it comes with the another challenges which I was telling in my first this, we have to see that the voltage profile and all it's getting disturbed, because initially there used to be a thermal stations, their rotors and turbines, they used to help in inertia. They were the demand side, generations were there in different places, but now the renewable is in a certain places. We have to come out from Rajasthan to Odisha or to eastern part. So there will be a point of that, but I can tell you these factors are getting nullified by bringing new technologies like STATCOM and all, which is helping in grid stability as well as. So resilience is very good. I can tell you how Power Grid is maintaining 99.85% availability. You can see that almost Power Grid 60 to 65% line have not even tripped single time in whole year. So this is the way, and we are having the best availability in the as if you see in the world also. Our outage rate is also 0.27. It is one of the above our international standards.
Got it. And talking about the maintaining high levels of reliability, I would want to touch upon the cybersecurity angle as well. Like, given how the risks with cyber threats, and we have had known examples wherein some malicious groups were trying to introduce malwares in various parts of the power system. So in such a scenario, how do we deal with cybersecurity to ensure that we have a secure, reliable, and resilient grid?
I tell you that is okay. Whenever digitalizations comes, it's come with another cybersecurity risk. But I'm telling you, it is a requirement of the day. I can tell about Power Grid. We are maintaining almost 287 substation and 181,000 kilometers of around 5 gigawatt of MVA capacity. This is only possible when we have to digitalize the system. Because at present, I can say that 30 terabyte data is coming up. So once the new substations are in by 2030 and all, we are going to touch around 330 substations. So this is expanding and all. So there is no doubt digitalization and modernization, automation is a requirement of the day. We have to do it. And we are doing it also. Of course, cybersecurity is one of the aspects which we have to see it. I can tell how Power Grid is working. Power Grid, I can tell you in the 4 major. First of all, we will go in the design sector also, design part, that how cybersecurity we are doing it. I can tell you, we have a OT system separate, IT system separate. We have our own company, just a PowerTel, which is operating optical fibers, and they are being used for the OT. So OT and IT are totally not connected. That is in the design part we have done. Secondly, in the operation part, we are having security operation centers also. It is not only for IT, for OT also, which is 24 hours maintained. Even UNMS also there, we are seeing that the data which is in the communication part also being monitored. Any intrusion, it is trying to that. We are totally separated the IT and OT system and operation also. Digitalization, we are telling you that we are doing it in a large way. It is health indexing as well as for the performance management, we are doing it. So these are the things we have to be best, firewalls we have to see. We are continuously doing the audits also. We are continuing, we are red tapping also doing it. We are trying to intrude ourselves also to see that our system is very strong enough. We are being monitored by, Government of India, CSERT, as well as NCIPCs. Whatever their policies are there, their frameworks are there. We are 100% we are maintaining. We are having advisory boards also that keep on telling us what is the best available in the cyber security, and we are, infusing money for cyber security in the large scale, which is the best part available in the world. I don't say that cybersecurity is not the challenge. It is continuously. As we move, the hackers also move in the same directions and all. But we see that our system should be totally isolated. They should be free from intrusion.
Thank you. And well, Mr. Prince, continuing on the topic of digitalization, so REC is also the nodal agency for the India Energy Stack, which is like a public digital infrastructure. So in simple terms, can you help us understand what this is and how will it enable, let's say, more investment into the power sector? So how does it make transaction easier? How does it enable more smarter financing? Or are there other business models that we can expect to emerge out of this energy stack?
Well, Shantanu, let me first give you the very big picture about technology. I'll just make two important perspectives about how technology is going to shape the development of the power sector and set the narrative in the times to come. So this is perspective one would be that you see it says the era of the electrostate. So the electrostate in the times to come, as we electrify more and more, there is not going to be scarcity of electrons. We see so many generation capacity getting added. What is going to be scarce is coordination at scale. What is going to be scarce is trust, interactions, trustworthy interactions, coordination at scale, and inclusion. That is what is going to be scarce, and countries, electrostates that can manage this coordination using technology are what will actually empower the consumer in the end. The second perspective about technology that I would like to give here is that technology in the new, up till now we have been talking about energy affordability for the consumer. But technology actually would now, in the new welfare state, talk about energy agency and energy income. So till now, energy has been a cost for the households, and it was usually either subsidized or cross subsidies are widely prevalent in the tariff structure. But what technology is going to enable is inclusion and participation and making the households to be able to earn through these rooftop assets that they have. A farmer would be able to earn by shifting his or her storage pump usage on the field at a particular time of point. An MSME will be able to earn by shifting their demand to a particular point of time. So that is what technology will enable. And the India energy stack is exactly doing this. It's essentially standardizing the way and grid entities access each other's data and interact and contract with each other. So let me give you an example. If today I have a solar rooftop on my house, can I and my neighbor is willing to buy it from this energy from me, can I sell it to him? And is that even possible? Can we think of a time where I can actually, sitting in Bangalore, or I have come to Goa and my solar rooftop in my house in Delhi is still generating electricity, can I just sell that electricity to someone in Bangalore? Or maybe can I just gift it to my parents? Can I just give it as a Diwali gift? Here's free electricity for you, mom and dad. That is what the India energy stack is going to enable. This is one use case. There are so many use cases. You spoke about DER integration. How do DISCOMs get visibility into the distributed energy resources? One of them is the solar rooftop, but there are other DER resources. There is EV charging vehicles. They are completely an unmanaged load as of date. How do they interact with the grid? Are there standardized protocols? That is what the India energy stack defines. So India energy stack is essentially giving the digital rails that will put the consumer at the center of everything. And then you spoke about what this means for new financing models. So this opens up a whole new market. So now this opens up whole new avenues of livelihoods. It gives avenues to energy micro entrepreneurs. So we will see energy micro entrepreneurs coming in the next few years, as soon as in the next few months, I'm confident, because you will see people or community assets being monetized by participating in this market, this new market, energy market, and then there will be demand for finance, for startups, for companies that will enter this market, or at least enable small consumers to participate in this market, maybe by AI agents, maybe by AI agencies. So that is a new addressable market that will again open up financing needs for the power sector. So I feel US talks about demand response, Europe talks about flexibility, China talks about control, India, as part of the India energy stack, will talk about inclusivity, India will talk about how an electric grid will not just give power, but it will give income, dignity, and inclusion to the consumers. And that is what India Energy Stack will enable.
So two different kinds of power to the consumer.
Yeah. Yes, 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 exactly.
Interesting. So how soon do you think I can gift renewable electricity to my friends?
We are excited to tell you that on the 18th of February in the India AI Summit, you will have the first peek at it.
Lovely.
Yes.
Look forward to that. Ms. Chandra, I would like to bring you into the discussion again. So there are a lot of emerging economies that that have rapid demand growth, but also have weaker grids, and then they often look at India as an example. So what do you think are the lessons that India can teach them, or if teach is a strong word, what they can learn from India, and what they should not learn from India as well?
I'll take the positive first.
Okay.
Well, if we look at how Honorable Prime Minister Modi has constantly steered the Global South leadership, we have ample examples in all domains, including energy, where lessons from India can be learned. If we particularly focus on the clean energy sector, we have massive success in the decentralized renewable energy that is replicable in many of the countries in the global south. That includes our amazing feat in the agricultural solarization, whether it's replacement of the diesel pumps with the solar pumps, or it's the feeder level solarization itself, which kind of allows farmer to shift the entire load during the daytime, and now of course they can earn also with them in the prosumer mode. You have rooftop solar, each household. See, rooftop solar you have to look at not just from a point of a deployment. It's world's biggest rooftop solar program today, what we are running. And that is essentially to also create a nudge for each household to understand the value of renewable energy and clean energy and demystify it at a household level. So once you demystify it at a household level, that nudge is also replicable. Because once you have demystified it at household level, then the offtake of the peer-to-peer services, which Prince was just amplifying just now, it's more consumable, it's more addressable, it's more palatable to them. Otherwise, it sits as a foreign concept, which is very technical and people can't understand. So these demystification, dejargonization, decentralization, inclusion are the lessons that the global south or even the other emerging economies can take from India. What they should not learn from India, well, just in the favor of being politically correct, I'll pass that question.
Fair. And Your Excellency, we heard about how other countries can learn from India, but why just India? Why not can we learn from UAE? Are there any particular things that you're proud of that you think should be replicated throughout the world?
Actually, we are learning from each other, and we are learning a lot from India. With the UAE, I mean, there is two things very important: the partnership and the technology. And this is within the system of the UAE. And as it has highlighted yesterday through our minister, that UAE opened all the doors for the investor to come. They opened the doors for the partnership to come and for win-win benefit for all. We did actually a number of projects with the private sector related to the energy efficiency. And it was a very interesting project. We invited all the private sector, and we handled a number of government buildings to reduce the cost and do some saving from the consumption. And it was very interesting for the first phase. We saw there is a saving around 27% from the first batch. It is now already in the execution with the private sector, one of the international company. Now we are going to double that amount to go for the second phase, to open the scale of the government building to do more enhancing in terms of the efficiency of the building. Other things, I mean, related to the hydrogen, we are also trying our best to reduce the cost with our partnership, to bring more innovation and creativity, to make it more affordable and available in the market. But since there is creative idea from our friend, and this is excellent things, if you ask me about my opinion, what do you think something to be delivered? I'm thinking about the enhancing the wireless power transfer, more friendly, more efficiently. I don't know if that the technology can be delivered, but this is very interesting. I mean, I am sure with the fast development of the technology, globally, it will become one day to the market. So you can transfer by wireless rather than the cables.
Are there any other such sectors where where you would like to see more innovation or more investment and R&D and funding go into?
I think the desalination sector is very important everywhere, not only in the UAE, because this is touch the security of the supply for the people. Especially in our region, we are having the challenges for providing the water. We depend heavily on the seawater. Having such creative idea, development, technology in this part, it will help a lot for the sustainability for the life of people. So desalination is very significant sector to be focused on.
Great. So for the next question, I don't have any particular person in mind, but Mr. Srivastav, Ms. Chandra, either of you. So recently we heard that the power distribution companies are returning to profitability. The ACS ARR gap has narrowed down quite a bit, and that excites me quite a lot because in the past we have always said that distribution companies are not investing in modernization, not investing in smart technologies because they don't have the money. But now if they are returning to profitability, how do you see this area develop? Do you think that there will be more investments in the smarter things on the grid side? But either of you, both of you?
You can go first.
Actually, I am going to take that question voluntarily, and then Ma'am Chandra and Srivastav sir can add after that.
Okay.
The reason being that REC is actually a nodal agency that ran, one of the two nodal agencies that ran the reformed linked and results enabled revamped distribution sector scheme. And what that scheme was essentially all about was that some investments were made in this upgradation of DISCOM's infrastructure contingent on them meeting certain performance metrics. So it was a completely results driven scheme. And as you rightly pointed out, very recently the latest figure shows that in aggregate, the DISCOMs have combined posted a net profit of north of 2,000 crores, whereas just 2 years ago, the losses were 5 times that, and even a decade before that, they were astronomical. So this turnaround story is actually a story of meticulously identifying the gaps. What are those gaps? So we identified 3 high priority gaps. Identify the areas where you have the highest transmission and distribution losses for the distribution company, so distribution losses for their sector, and change those infra. So maybe upgrade your cables, maybe install more distribution transformers. So as they say, devil is in the details. So, somewhere you may need to shift some lines to underground. So those are the kind of initiatives that happened to plug this first gap. The second gap was clean your books of accounts. So what that means is that maybe there were some backlog of subsidies or some accounts receivables that the DISCOM was having, and those were all cleaned. So the system collectively functioned pan-India to ensure that the DISCOMs could reduce their accounts receivables and get whatever was their rightful due. The third was contingent on corporate governance norms. So introduce better governance mechanisms in the DISCOM, better board functioning, board oversight. So the distribution company functions as a fully corporate entity within the government, and that has been the key stake. And of course, I should not miss out the biggest smart meter program is being run here in India. 16 crore smart meters have already been sanctioned, and north of 5 crore smart meters have been installed, which is some 50 million smart meters have been installed. And what this gives you is a lot of data, and what data brings with it is a lot of insights. And those insights are what are helping DISCOMs to plug those gaps and hence turn profitable. And we hope that this trajectory will continue in the future. There are more reforms in the pipeline, and we hope to see them happening. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Prince, for putting that in perspective. I wouldn't have been able to explain the pivots of the RDSS scheme, which he rightly have now contextualized. See, I take this story with the boulder of salt. Why I say that of course the DISCOM have had a turnaround story, and there is a PAT which has been reported on an aggregate. Yes. But if you look at the disaggregated numbers, you still have that contribution coming in from the privatized DISCOMs. Yes. And many of the government-owned DISCOMs need to up their ante to get where we want to get today. And therefore, the government has thought and is in the pipeline of addressing this by various means. Maybe one of the measures is privatization, because private DISCOMs have performed uber well. Of course, you have this entire cleaning up of the books, which Prince talked about. DISCOMs and the distribution sector traditionally has been the Achilles heel of the power sector. Yeah. And with RDSS, that has gradually sort of started changing. So even though the turnaround is happening now in the aggregated mode because of the private sector, it does give a replicable example for our state-owned DISCOMs to sort of now think towards how to corporatize their operations. And if they are not able to, then how to let the reins go so that the political tariffs that cause the distress and the generation dues which cause the distress to the DISCOMs, apart from the T&D losses, which are technical in nature, that is how the DISCOMs will have to revamp themselves when we make our systems future ready. And so far, DISCOMs have been unilaterally part of, buying, entities who have just been buying and distributing. They have to now also think about being the energy managers in the next league of our power reforms, where you have so many things coming up. So DISCOMs cannot continue to remain this unilateral flow of operations. They have to be more robust, and not just in their corporate operations, but also in the kind of services from a systems perspective that they are going to provide in the future as we go forward.
Got it. Sure, we have some time.
I am not going to repeat what Madam Chandra and Penzi has told. That is really, I'll go a little bit back and say how that has come out. It has, initially we were having a problems of, household electrification to the, it has started, so this phenomena has started around 20 years back when the APDRP scheme have come, or Deen Dayal Upadhyay, that first of all, we have that they have concentrated on let the electricity goes to every household. That was completed. After that, then the RDSS schemes and all come. So the way it was monitored, all DISCOMs was monitored, their performance was seen in all the angles, maybe in the monetary angle, maybe in the performance angle. That was when it has started seeing in that direction. And of course, central government has helped them in reducing their debt also continuously. That has also helped them. Yes, we will come out. Otherwise, their mind was totally on managing the debt. But once it has come and they come out, of course, the latest, I can give an example when Power Grid is doing certain RDSS schemes also. When we done an underground cabling work in, Varanasi, it was in that area, I was knowing that it was having losses of around 27-28%. Once that cable was laid out, it has come down in that area. I'm not telling whole Purvanchal, but in that area it has come down below 10%. It has come down 9%. So that has given a lookout that yes, we can come out with a, technically as well as financially, we can be more profitable. The system is the best part. So of course, these schemes, which is load reduction schemes and smart metering, which is coming up in a large way, it is really helping them, discoms, to be not only a profitable, but also technically a very strong companies. Thank you.
I just want to come in here briefly because we have always looked at discom's operation from an efficiency point of view. But I would put it out in the open that efficiency is not the only element that discoms contribute to. There's a huge equity addressing that the discoms do to provide low-cost, affordable electricity to service our low-income households. So please do not look at only from a unidirectional point of efficiency. Do consider the equity point whenever you look at the profits or losses of the discoms.
Got it. So we still have some time just to maybe do a one rapid-fire question for everybody. So if I may just ask all of you, starting from you, Ms. Chandra, in just one word, if you could describe what is that you are looking forward to by 2030? Like we discussed so many different things that we are anticipating to see by 2030 or are wanting to see, wishing to see. If there is one thing that you would like to see happen, what would that be?
Maybe we start from His Excellency and
Okay.
then we take it.
What I want to see that we will start to export electricity and export and import electricity rather than the normal traditional. We want to see electricity as a commodity.
Right.
So globally connected together, as it highlighted, one sun, one world, one grid.
Right.
So I think this is very important, and this is what hopefully to be, and we will start with India. We have a jointly project, hopefully it will come through.
Thank you, Excellency. Mr. Prince?
I would say one word is difficult, but maybe consumer agency, empowerment and choice. So as a consumer, I should be able to decide from where I want to buy, choose the best rates at which I can buy. As a consumer, I should be able to manage my load. And as a consumer, I should have agency in all these decisions. They should not be thrust upon me.
Thank you. Mr. Srivastava?
As Power Grid has done one word, one frequency, this is the only country working in one frequency. I also see that word will be working in 2030. One word, one sun, one grid, whatever is one grid, I'll tell it is, and we are able to give affordable and quality as well as continuous power to each individual in my country.
Thank you.
For me, just going back to the topic, a welfare electrostate that delivers to its citizen modern, clean energy at the lowest cost.
Lovely. Well, that's all the discussion we have over here. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to our panelists, and thank you very much for listening to us.